Hey everybody, it's AverageDrafter. We're doing another actually A4322. We've been doing some 8-4s before, but figured to slow it down, have a nice relaxing draft, hopefully just get past the first round, which we've been doing a lot of. We did make it to the finals of that one where we had a screwed up first pack. This Dismember is really strong. Ferromancer is really good, but it is kind of fragile. Plus, I think dismembers are going for quite a bit. You can sell it for like 2 ticks, so it's like a really strong card, and it's also worth a little bit. So we'll just take that card. So we've got a Vault Charge and a Grim Affliction, a Blinding Soul Eater. I think just to go with the dismember because you'd rather prefer it to be in black, so you don't always have to pay 4 life for it, which is pretty steep. So it does work very well with this Grim Affliction. And we passed this Vault Charge, so we might just go ahead and indicate that we're not going to be in red, but instead of branching out to a second color to get basically the same card, actually this has some combat uses as well. So we'll go ahead and grab this Grim Affliction. I guess is the point of all that. Now again, don't really want to try to draft Infect, but if it's coming late and black is definitely a good color to be in for it. Then we might go with a poison deck, but right now we just have 2 really solid pieces of removal, and that's good enough. Okay. Now this is an interesting pick here. We've got a Vault Scourge that's on color. Porcelain Legionnaire can be on color. Paying that life is not that big of a deal if you back it up. Are getting a lot of damage in with it. There's Spinebiter if we do decide that we want to go Infect. That's probably the way to go. If we're going to be Infect, this is a really good card to go with. I have first picked this actually. I think it's definitely more powerful than a Vault Scourge that we could take here. Porcelain Legionnaire is really tempting. The Spire Monitors, this one might even come around. They're not very well respected. So I think I'm going to go with the more powerful card here with the Spinebiter. And again, we'll see if we end up with an Infect deck here. But that's definitely going to push us in that direction. But as long as we're doing it early and we see enough Infect cards, then I think that's an okay play to make. So we have a Parasitic Implant here, a Leeching Bite. There's a Blighted Agent if we wanted to go that way, but I think we just go with the Implant here. A little bit more removal for our deck. Okay, so there's a Leeching Bite, a Geth's Verdict for more removal, Death's Hood Cobra. I think I like the Leeching Bite here. There's also Remember the Falling, which is kind of late, but we'll go with the Leeching Bite here. We don't have a lot of creatures, but this works particularly well in Infect decks because you can throw the combat math off a lot, and like that card. Here's a Glistener Elf. So let's go with this. Let's go with this. There's a Blessing here. There's a Wellspring here. I'm actually think I'm going to go with the Wellspring. I've taken the Blessing pretty high, and I've been really happy with it, but I've never really gotten a Wellspring before, and I think I like it much better since you actually get to tutor for something useful, which is land of a color that you need. There's also a Throat Seeker here, and if I'm splashing, this is a really good, strong card to splash for. So I actually might take this over the Wellspring there, but I would really like to try to play that Wellspring at some point. I just guess this is not really the time for that. And here's the Soul Eater, and I like this card a lot here because it is going to be a big infector for our deck. And if we're in the weird situation where we're having to swing for damage, he can do that too. So you can turn that infect all on and off. But that said, I think we're going to go with the Glistener Health here. And hopefully we'll get our removal up. We'll get some good equipment to go with these guys. If we're going to go in all in with the elf plus equipment, so we can take this elf and pick up equipment really high if we can. supposing if we do actually get enough equipment to make this guy decent, we should take this, but that's going to be a very big if. Soul Eater, Shriek Raptor. We'll just go ahead and take the Shriek Raptor to take people off of Infect, if at all possible. There's a very, 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 very slim chance that we end up playing it for some weird reason, but actually, no, there's not. Let's get rid of that. What would happen if there's something insanely bizarre? I could change my mind there. So a possible splash for the Throat Seeker. Wouldn't be too remiss about that, especially if we can get a Horizon Spell Bomb. Wellspring would be nice, but we had to take the Throat Seeker for the Wellspring. Wellspring in a two-color deck doesn't really seem to be as critical as it would be like in a deck like this, which is three-color, but it's only three colors because we didn't take the Wellspring. So it sucks that we had to make that decision there, but hell, I'll splash this. That's all I'm saying. Now, getting some first strike equipment would be really good, particularly the Viridian Claws, I think it is, the first strike +1. Those would be really good for those Glistener Elves. So what do we have here? We have a Red Sun's Phoenix Zenith, which would be good enough to splash. But to counter that, we actually have Spread the Sickness, which is just as good a removal, and it actually works towards all win condition as well. But yeah, that would be a good card to have here. There's also Sphere of the Suns, which will help with if we wanted to splash, but we go with the removal in our color for sure. Okay, let's see here. This beast might come back. People don't really respect it. I'm looking what else is in this deck, and not a lot. So it might not come back. Marauder is a card that I think goes pretty late. And we've got a couple of 6-drops, possibly 2 6-drops right now. I'm actually seriously considering taking this guy because I don't think he's going to come back, and I think he'd be really good in our deck. He works with damage races. He also works really well with the Infect. And I think we could actually pick up a Marauder later because, like I said, they tend to go around really late now. Okay, let's see here. There's a Flare Husk. And that's about it. We did say we want to get some equipment, and that's definitely a good way to get it. Throw some early damage in there, throw some early trades. So get the Flare Husk on. Okay, so we have a Rotwolf, we have a Green Sun Zenith, which doesn't really get that much. It gets us that Spinebiter at 7 mana, but I actually think there's a Virulent Wound too, but I think we need this Rotwolf more than we need that wound. I certainly would like to have it. That cheap removal works really well, but we'll go ahead and take this Rotwolf here. Alright, so here's another Marauder that we could take. A Rager and a Plague Mirror. I kind of like the Plague Mirror here because we have some more expensive spells. It does get us that extra Infect element, so we could, if we get the Pump Spell, Pump Spells can be pumped through him. He can get a couple of points of damage in there early, poison damage. So I think we'll go ahead and take the Plague Mirror here over the Marauder. Plus, we don't even have that many artifacts, so we'd actually be depending on our opponent having more artifacts, which almost certainly they will. But Flintstermite, I suppose, is a rare, foil rare, but not really all that great. Yeah, we'll go ahead and take the Flintstermite. Why not? It's Infect. Okay, so we have an Unnatural Predation, a Dross Ripper. Gore Vassal is kind of annoying against us because we have a lot of things that die to it. Predation doesn't really seem to be that great of a card for us. This guy would be really annoying against us, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and take this Priest out. Plus, again, like I said, taking people off of trying to draft infect. Okay, so we have another Plague Mirror here. That's definitely really cool. Like I said, that guy's got a lot of uses. So we do have a nice little army of 1/1 infect guys. We just need to find some better uses for it than we've got already. This is also really good for us if we decide to have a little bit of flying defense. It might actually make the main deck, but we'll hide it for now. The armor, sure, we'll go ahead and take that. Every little bit is going to help, so we might actually play that, but we'll leave it in the deck for now. Supposing these fumes would be pretty annoying against us, so we'll take those out. A Concussive Bolt is one card that always scares me, but I think Refuel. Now we'll take the Bolt out. The card has the potential for just ending games. Yeah, we'll just take that. Okay. Alright, so fortunately we're going into the last pack with the two strongest infect colors. And I think we've drafted a pretty strong deck here. We're looking for equipment. What does this thing do? That's actually not bad. Three, I mean, it's just going to keep growing throughout the entire game. It's kind of expensive to equip and use. We do have a Cyst Bearer and a Tangle Angler. Since we're so heavy green, the Tangle Angler can actually be really strong in getting these little guys through. So I know I'd like to take this equipment, but I think the Angler can actually do a pretty strong job on its own, where this is going to take a little bit of help. A lot of mana to equip. For it's usually going to be a +3, maybe a +4. So we'll take the Angler here. And even though we like that equipment, we probably just can't take it right now. Okay, so we got a lot of options here. We're going to Blight Mamba, Plague Stinger, Necropede. All of these cards would be really good for our deck. This Blight Mamba might come back around. This Necropede will be gone. But I think we got to go with the Plague Stinger here. He's just a really phenomenal Stinger infect guy. He's essentially a 2/1 flyer if you look at it as life. But anyway, okay, so this is interesting. A Strider Harness. Now, we're not getting equipment that we really want so much. +1/+1 here, +1/+1 there, +1/+1 here. We really want stuff that's either going to make our power really overwhelming or increase our toughness enough to where the infect really wears them down. These +1/+1s aren't really doing us much good. However, that said, the haste on this is actually pretty strong. There's also Flesh Allergy, which we do have a lot of little guys that can become useless, so we could find creatures all over the place here. But let's go with the Harness here. If anything, I just kind of want to replace this Silver Skin Armor, which I'm not too happy about having in my deck, so I'm going to cut that out right now. Okay, so Trigon of Rage is actually an interesting card because it forces a lot of damage through on them. We've got Plague Mirrors, and we're going to be heavy green anyway, so we don't really need the Copper Mirror. The Scudder for some flying defense, but we've got some removal for that. I think we're okay there. I think we take the Trigon of Rage, even though we can't recharge it. We actually got some Proliferate, so we could recharge it with that. That makes it a little bit better even. So the Trigon, though, punches through a lot of poison when those connect. Golem Artisan. There's an Still Infection. There's a Silver Mirror here. That might help us splash this Throat Seeker a little bit better. I think I actually like that. Gives us a little bit more acceleration into some more expensive spells, or just dumping our hand full of what we need. We're kind of opening ourselves up for problems if they can deal with one's really easy. Okay, so we have a Life Staff here. Again, we're incrementally making our guys better. We'll be able to stack a bunch of cheap to move around equipment to kind of tailor exactly what we want. We got some good acceleration here. Um, okay, so here's a Trigun and Corruption, and we'll definitely take that here. That's a really good pickup right there. So with that, we're probably going to look to cut some of our non-creature spells. This Tainted Strike, that's not too bad, although we really just have the Plague Maw. So I'm not really thinking that that's going to be too useful to us. We might just want to take out this Blister Grub. He's kind of annoying to play against. We'll take the Trinket Mage. We could actually use the Trinket Mage if we were going to splash for the Throat Seeker, but since we're making cuts already, and I'm not even sure if it's worth cutting, screwing our mana up a little bit for that Throat Seeker. But anyway, let's see here. The Replica is probably the one that gets played the most. Though I don't think anybody's taking these cards. Card quality's been pretty good this whole draft. That Tainted Stripe might have some uses, so we'll take it there. Another Trinket Mage. Okay, so I guess the question is, how much are we going to focus on these Glistener Elves now that we know our actual equipment loadout? Probably is a mistake to try to focus on these 1/1s as much as we are, to where we could probably cut one. And steady progress is actually not too bad in a deck like this, but we've already screwed up our mana and we're already making deep cuts already. So I think it really comes down to whether or not we're going to include this Throat Seeker, which my gut instinct is to say yes, include it, for God's sakes. We can play 2 islands. We have the Silvermere. This guy's going to be a force. I mean, you kind of want him to come down late so that they waste their removal on lesser targets. And he's almost assuredly going to have poison by that point. So, and even if he doesn't, he's such a good defender too. So you can at least have him hold the ground until things get going, like your Trigon here. Okay, so let's see what we look like. Silver Skin's probably not making the cut, but it is equipment. Soul Eater, sure. Harness, sure. Definitely not you. Rage, absolutely. Okay, so we'll put the Glisteners in for now and see how that looks. Leeching Bite might not make the cut. The Trainee, do we have him hidden? I think we did. But definitely try the Meat Beast here. He's really good. Flinchermite, he's probably the weakest of the 2-drops. Stinger for sure. Affliction, Dismember, Implant, Spread the Sickness. Okay, anything else that we are missing here? Throat Seeker is one of our troubles. Let's go ahead and put him in as well. So we're giving up these 3 cards. Not really that heartbroken about any of them. Leeching Bite might be something to think about siding in against a lot of 1/1s and 1 toughness creatures and whatnot. And I actually like the card quite a bit, but we've got Combat Tricks. I guess not really tricks. We got Grim Affliction. We've got all the equipment to put on the little guys. So maybe I'm just kind of wondering if it's right to cut one of these Glistener Elves for a Leeching Bite. I can't see that being right, just because we can get this. We can get these guys doing a little bit more damage than Trigon or Rage. I mean, at some point they're just going to be, along with the mirrors, part of an Alpha Strike that you're going to want to get one through and then Rage whenever it gets through, that kind of thing, or what have you. There's lots of different alternative situations here. Regardless, I think the Flinchermite's a little too expensive to even be considering for this deck, and I think the armor is not what we really need. Question is, do I want to go with 17 land? I think that we'd pretty cheap. We don't have a lot of need for our black. Even our Dismember can be cast without any black. and most of our other black spells are kind of expensive. So, got the Silver Mirror. See what it says on the suggest here. They can go with 9 forests, 2 islands with the Silver Mirror for that Chains Throw Seeker. I know that's a lot of blue, but I'd kind of like to make sure that I have that whenever the 6th drop comes around all the time, just because I think it's going to be necessary. So, that being said, that's 17 land right there with 6 swamps. And that should be good enough for our Dismember. That should be good enough for the Grim Affliction and all those guys right there. 9 Forest, I think, would have to be enough here to get multiple activations out of Angler, get Glistener Elves out on the first turn. Beyond that, we don't really need that much green mana until the 6 and 5 drop, which 9 should be sufficient for. So I think this is actually the right color combination. It's a little bit more blue heavy than the one card would suggest, but it's such a good card that I think it's necessary. And anyway, we'll see you in round 1, and I'm actually going to submit my deck now.